Good evening, San Diego. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carlene Chavis, and thank you for tuning in for your CBSA Plus weather update. Today was a warm one out there, especially across inland areas. We were still in the 70s right there along the coastline, and we also had 73 degrees for downtown. But feeling the heat and some humidity is starting to make its way back into San Diego County. We had a high today of 100 degrees. That was for Ramona. Also in the 90s today for Escondido, as well as for Valley Center. But it was Alpine at 96 degrees that set a record today. It actually tied the previous record set on this day back in 1978. So we were feeling the heat, and today we had the warmth. By tomorrow, you have the warmth and the humidity. So tropical moisture will be a factor for this weekend. It's going to make things feel even more on the warm side, even warmer, especially when you take in consideration the heat index. So that's how it feels when you factor in heat and humidity. But then you're also talking about an influx of moisture that brings a chance for some scattered showers in the forecast and even some inland thunderstorms. So adding to that, you have heat, humidity for tomorrow. You're going to see a lot of high clouds building in all ahead of this tropical moisture and more of a surge of it by Sunday. Now, this is not looking to be a total washout by any means. Some areas could see only about 1/10 of an inch of rainfall, but we are looking at a chance for some scattered showers across the entire county and even some thunderstorms. Now, it's more favorable across the mountains as we hit Sunday's forecast, but it could stray in towards the desert as well as the inland valleys. So that's where it's a slight chance. But the key time frame, so by tomorrow, roughly around 11 a.m., that's when we're going to start to have those chances going up. But it's not until we get to about Sunday, that key time frame being about 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday. That is the window where we can have the most active activity for this weekend when it comes to this wet weather. And so anytime during that time frame, getting scattered showers, maybe even a downpour across the mountains with a chance for thunderstorms in our forecast, some gusty winds, and also talking about the temperatures are going to take a little bit more of a hit by the second half of the weekend with that added moisture. But to start it off, we're going to feel that heat and the humidity. Also talking about elevated surf in the forecast. That's going to be Sunday all the way through Tuesday. Your surf forecast right now about 2 to 4 feet and a moderate risk of rip currents at our local beaches. By Sunday through Tuesday, you're talking about 4 to 6 feet and sets up to 7 feet with a high risk of rip currents at our local beaches. So we could be looking at a beach hazard statement being issued by the National Weather Service in the days ahead. Area of high pressure brought that heat that we felt for today, but as mentioned, you got to factor in the humidity for this weekend. An area of low pressure has been sitting just towards the south of us, so that happened yesterday, and that's why we saw a little bit more of the sunshine in the afternoon hours, but we definitely saw a whole lot of it for today as we had the high pressure system take over. But that low pressure system is going to make its comeback and move a little bit more towards the north. As that happens, it steers tropical moisture in our direction, so it's going to be an influx of moisture from what will be a post-tropical system. Right now is Tropical Storm Alvin. Alvin is the first named system of this season for the Eastern Pacific, which started on May 15th. Now, Alvin has actually decreased in speed when it comes to maximum sustained wind speeds. About 24 hours ago, it was up to about 60 miles per hour, and so it has been weakening ever since then. We're also talking about that movement towards the north-northwest at about 10 miles per hour. So the first named system of this season, but it does look to deteriorate over the weekend. So becoming post-tropical the next 24 hours, completely dissipating in 2 days. But that moisture is what is going to get wrapped around that low, and that's what's going to bring us a chance for some wet weather over the weekend, as well as that added humidity. As mentioned, this is not looking to be a total washout. Some areas only seeing about 1/10 of an inch when all is said and done. That would be for Oceanside as well as for Escondido, the same for Ramona. Chula Vista, about 1/10 of an inch on the higher end of that scale. You're also looking at it being more favorable when it comes to wet weather across the mountains. Could see more than about 1/4 of an inch of rainfall, and that would be for Julian as well as for Mount Laguna, and even some measurable rainfall being possible for the desert for this weekend. So this would lead to some ponding on the road, so we could see that, as well as some gusty winds and some downpours, and even with some of those thunderstorms, some lightning could take place over the weekend. For your overnight lows, we're looking at widespread 60s and 50s in the forecast from the coast all the way to the mountains, but you got 75 degrees, and that's going to be for the desert for Borrego Springs. Your highs for tomorrow, widespread 80s are expected, especially east of the 15. 87 degrees for Escondido, 88 degrees for Ramona, 88 degrees for El Cajon tomorrow, 81 degrees for Miramar, triple-digit heat for Borrego Springs, and you have those 70s right there again along the coastline, and 76 degrees for downtown. As mentioned, your surf forecast right now, and this takes you all the way through tomorrow, about 2 to 4 feet and a moderate risk of rip currents at our local beaches before that surf forecast does go up by Sunday all the way through Tuesday. So you're seeing a red box on Sunday, and that's a weather impact alert day because we are looking at scattered showers in the forecast, especially if you had any weekend plans. And that, once again, that key time frame, that's going to be about 11 a.m. on Sunday all the way through 5 p.m. That's when we're expecting the opportunity for the bulk of that moisture moving through. You have 70s in the forecast for temperatures for the coast this weekend. You're back into the 60s by Tuesday. Across the inland valleys, you have the 80s, but the low 80s on Sunday. You're back into the 70s by next week. We dry out quite nicely. We get back to that pattern of that morning cloud cover with the marine layer and the afternoon sunshine and some near seasonal temperatures. For the mountains and the desert, you have the 80s for the mountains to start off the weekend. A lot of high clouds that are going to be building in throughout the day. You have the 60s by Sunday. You're back into the 70s and nothing but sunshine for next week for the mountains. Then you're back into the 80s by Thursday and Friday. For the desert, you still have triple-digit heat for tomorrow. You're back into the 80s by Sunday. Chance for wet weather and mainly in the 90s for next week. But by Friday of next week, back to triple-digit heat at 101. I hope you have a great weekend, and thanks for tuning in.